Oh my gosh.
Welcome back
We didn't need that.
to our podcast, Redeemed.
That's how I get in the zone.
We are still talking about the one and only Moses. Things are fixing to get a little dicey for him. Not that they already haven't been. I mean, he's a miracle child.
Yeah.
Saved by a princess, raised in the Egyptian palace. But things are going to take a turn. God's putting him in a place where he needs to be so that he can begin this process.
Yep.
And it is a process. I'm going to go with the process. It's a process.
Okay.
It took a lot of time.
So let's catch up with this guy. So he's all grown up. He went out to where his own people were and watched them through hard labor. He saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of his own people. Looking this way and that and seeing no one, he killed the Egyptian.
And hid him in the sand.
Not great.
So it must have been premeditated because he looked both ways.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
He
killed
looked that way, looked that
that's
way.
true.
He was like, all right, buddy, time to die.
Yeah.
I mean, my sense of justice doesn't fault him for what he did. Because it's like you shouldn't have been...
Right.
This is not something that should have happened.
Killing him, though.
You know what I'm
Correct.
saying?
Yeah.
But I'm not sure killing him was
Yeah.
was the way to go.
That was probably a step too far.
But
Gone a
I
little
mean,
bit too
it
far.
was.
Yeah.
But then again, though, once again, I can see God's plan behind it. Because if he hadn't killed the Egyptian, he
wouldn't
probably
have
never
fled.
would have left Egypt.
Yeah.
And there's no 10 Commandments yet.
So
Okay.
Moses makes a bed.
Still rules.
Just saying.
Yeah. Good point. No 10 Commandments, so maybe.
No,
Just
it's
saying.
not a good point. It's not a good point.
Moses didn't know. He hadn't
No,
come
he
down
knew.
off the
That's why
mountain
he
yet.
looked both ways.
He was crossing the street.
It's not a good point.
So then he hides the Egyptian in the sand, thinks nobody knows. The next day he goes out and sees two Hebrews fighting.
This
He asked-
part's weird.
Yeah, he asked the one wrong. Why are you hitting your fellow Hebrew? The man said, who made you ruler and judge over us? Are you boy? Did he not know what was coming?
No,
Yeah,
no, Moses wasn't ready for that
No,
part.
he did
Because
not.
that's exactly what he's going to be. He's going to be ruler and judge over you very soon.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but,
Clearly, you don't know who I am.
spoiler alert! And are you thinking of killing me as you killed the Egyptians? Or Egyptian?
Yeah.
Then Moses was afraid and thought, what I did must have become known.
How did they find out?
I don't know.
There must have been one person.
Well,
around.
sand blows.
Yeah,
You know
but
what
how
I'm
would they
saying?
know
So,
that
I
he
mean, if you
killed
buried
him?
him in the sand, eventually that's going to, I would assume that's going to show
But then how
back
do you
up.
link that back to Moses?
Well, it never says anything about, because the Egyptian was beating the Hebrew.
Right.
Oh,
It
so what
never
happened to the other
That
Hebrew?
It never says anything about that Hebrew leaving first before Moses kills the Egyptian.
That's fair. But
He
then who
might
was
have
he
just-
looking out for?
He might have just looked at
Other
Hebrew and was like,
Egyptians?
So you should kill both of them, is that what you're saying?
well, if he truly
Not really,
wanted
not
it
really.
to not
I'm not-
become known.
I'm not condoning that.
Well, no. The 10 Commandments exist now.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, it never says anything about that Hebrew leaving, so I'm assuming that Hebrew went and told everybody. Now, I don't understand why they turned on him
Yeah.
for killing the Egyptian who was beating the Hebrew.
I don't know. No, I've never understood
That's
that
the
either.
part that doesn't make sense to me. I just always thought, like, ungrateful. But
Right. And like he's on our side.
yeah, it's like, this guy should be with us,
And he's
but
important.
this Hebrew is like, no, we don't like you.
Yeah.
And then Moses says, okay, then I'm leaving.
Yeah, I'm leaving. But Pharaoh,
Fine.
but Pharaoh did hear about it, of course,
Yes, he did.
and he did try to kill Moses.
Yep.
But Moses fled from Pharaoh, and he went to live in Midian, where he sat down by a well. This is where he meets some priests' daughters.
Yep.
7 of them.
Yep.
And they had come to draw water, and they have these shepherds who are being a pain in the butt. And he drives them away.
Yep. Moses took care of that too.
Yay, saves the daughter.
Didn't kill them.
Daughters.
Good work, Moses. It's growth.
He's learning.
And they did say that because he was raised as an Egyptian, he probably did know the Egyptian combat.
Yeah.
And so these shepherds probably were no match for Moses. And being that he left very quickly, figuring he was probably going to die, he probably left armed. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not in there anywhere it says that, but I thought that was kind of an
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
perspective,
Right.
You know. And of course, the daughters then go tell their father. Father asks, "Why are you guys home so early?" Well, this Egyptian did it. You know, helped us out, saved us, blah blah.
Yeah, water the flock.
And then we jump from there to all of a sudden now, Moses is part of the family.
Yep.
He gets one of the priestess' daughter, Zipporah, for a wife, and he has a kid.
I would like to know the timeline on that. Like, was it all the same day? They came back and they said, "Hey, this guy just did all this," and they said, "Why didn't you bring him here to have something to eat?" And then Moses said, "Cool, you with him now."
And next thing you know, he's married. And has a kid.
It's just like I would like the timeline.
Yeah, how fast was all that?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a great question.
Because that all happens in the midst of three verses.
Yeah.
Surely that didn't all happen in one day.
Yeah.
Well, no.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
The way it reads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another one from my VHS collection.
And I think it's interesting. He names his son Gershom,
Yes.
saying, "I have become a foreigner in a foreign land."
Yeah.
Well, he's progressing to not be a foreigner very fast here. You know what I'm saying?
Fair.
I mean, he's already put down roots.
Yeah.
and
Right.
we're
He's
moving
He's got a
forward.
family.
Yeah.
I'm not sure you're a foreigner anymore. You kind of adopted this place, and this place is yours now.
It's fair.
Now we are set up because this is where God's going to step in and kind of point out to Moses. He's got a few things for you.
It's time for you to get to work, Moses. Hope you enjoyed your Midian vacation.
Yep. Because he was in Midian for a while. Because it says,
Yeah.
during the long period, the king of Egypt died. So we have a pharaoh that died.
Yep. That was trying to kill Moses.
Right.
Yeah.
And now, because I haven't heard from the other previous verses, I haven't heard them, it hasn't been said that the Israelites groaned in their slavery. And now they are. They're asking the Lord for help.
Yep.
And God heard that groaning, and he remembered his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and with Jacob. So he's going to try to help them out. Which, once again, I find it interesting the way God goes about helping them out.
Yes.
Because, I mean, come on. He's God. If he wanted to, he could have, that, and been done.
They could have teleported right back to where Jacob was when they took him to Egypt.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, so it's interesting to me that God is going to do it this way.
Yeah.
Now, I think God does it this way because he's trying to show the people who he is, along with the Egyptians and some of the other nations along the way.
He's going to do that a couple of times in this.
And if you were an Israelite fixing to start out on this journey, you're going to have a pretty eye-opening experience for who God is.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, you are going to see his power firsthand.
Yep.
A few times.
Yeah.
Not just once.
Yeah, multiple times.
Uh-huh.
And you're going to find out that these attributes of God that we sometimes forget.
Yeah.
His justice, his just anger. I mean, his mercy, his forgiveness. I mean, it is amazing the attributes they're going to learn from God during this journey.
Yeah. All in one journey.
And once again, you can just see God moving in the background. And God's setting this up. Moses has to leave. Now Moses is in a place where God can use him now. I find it interesting, too, that God is using a murderer, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody who killed somebody else. Justified or not,
Still murder.
he was still murdered.
Absolutely.
Because the Ten Commandments were around. All right? Now, Moses is ready at a point where he can serve the Lord. He's still going to need some persuading
And some help.
and some help, but he's at a point in his life where God can now use him.
Yep.
So it's always interesting to me the people that God chooses to use, for one, and then how God goes about using them to accomplish his goals.
It's never in the same way.
No. And God does things in such a way where you look at it and go, it can only be God.
Yep. And I think that's on purpose, obviously.
Oh, totally. And I think that's part of what he's doing here, is to show the Israelites he is God.
Yep.
And but it just amazes me. God set it up. He's ready to roll. God's got a plan for Moses. Moses just has to step through the door. Granted, Moses is going to need a little
I was
push.
going to say, he doesn't really step through the door. I think God sends him flying
Push,
through the door.
Yeah, it gives him a little push. But in the end, everything is set up to take that next step.
Yes.
And I believe God does the same thing with us too. We have to go through certain things in our life to get us to a point where we're ready to serve. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And it doesn't make sense while you're in it.
Yeah.
And then you come out the other side of it and you look back and you say, oh, now I see it.
Yeah, that makes sense now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. God was just preparing me for that next step.
Yep.
He had to be kicked out of Egypt.
Yes.
Granted, I don't think he probably would have had to kill somebody
No, I think God could
to get kicked out of Egypt.
I think God could have gotten him kicked out another way.
Yeah,
but
but that's the way we, that sin nature is still there.
always.
And he responded, and this is where we're at.
Yep.
And they had to
But
wait for
even
that
God
Pharaoh
can
to die.
use that to accomplish the goals he wants. So, but it says here in the commentary that Moses' actions were not just justifiable. What he did was still wrong. He should not have killed the Egyptian, but it did put him in a place where he was, I guess, more ready to step through that, to be pushed through that door,
Yes.
to do the things God has,
Yep.
set out for him.
Yeah, well, he had to leave and go start a whole new life.
Yeah, and it cost him everything.
Yeah.
He did have to pay for that action. It cost him everything.
He lived in a palace. And then he didn't.
Then he didn't.
So there's a lot of cool things that are set up now. Moses is fixing to become this leader that God wants him to be. It's a process. With all of us, it's a process.
Facts.
But we're fixing to start that process.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right, so hang with us. We're gonna look at some bushes that catch on fire that don't burn up.
Just saying.
We're gonna look at some
Don't try that at home.
seas that are gonna split open where they can walk on dry land. We got a whole bunch of stuff coming.
Yeah.
That'll be fun to talk about.
Yes.
So stay with us, and we're gonna work through this, and hopefully we'll have some fun in the process. All right. See you guys later.